Can I get a drum roll, please? For yet another Mock Draft Monday. Welcome on in, everybody. I know you all gotta be just as excited as I am for another mock draft. Today we're gonna be doing the post-combine mock draft, trying to get our bearings after a really interesting combine where we saw a lot of guys rising, some guys falling. That includes my boy Caleb Downs falling down here. And then it includes some players going up, such as Monroe Freeling, who I really like now as one of the top 3 tackles in this class. As you're going to see, my tackle rankings are coming out soon, and he's just been sliding up and up and up the ranks, man. Really interesting player. If you guys also saw at the combine, we'll talk about them more as the video goes on, but Casey Conception had a very nice combine, I want to say. And then, where is he at? Is he not even on their top 40 list? No way. Talk about Jacob Rodriguez, who's ranked as number 45. I think he's going to continue to go up. Jake Golday also had a really good combine. You saw guys falling like Deontay Lawson. Anthony Hill fell. Some guys moving around. But we'll talk about that all today as we're getting in. And this one, did I click the 3 round? Okay, I did. It's also going to be a 3 round, so this will be our first 3 round mock of this draft cycle. Let's get right into it. With the number 1 overall pick, the Las Vegas Raiders select my QB1 of the class, everybody's QB1 of the class, Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana. An absolute sniper rifle of a quarterback. No doubt about it. They are taking him at 1 to solidify as their franchise guy. At number 2, I've mostly been taking Orville Reese here. I think he'd be a nice linebacker / edge. Moore has been playing a prototypical edge rusher, as we've seen recently. So that would be really good for the Jets, who just lost Jermaine Johnson. Looking to get someone in that room who can kind of define that defense and begin to start this new era. Like I've said in my coach rankings video, I think Aaron Glenn is on the hot seat. So no matter what, you cannot draft a quarterback here. There's no quarterback that's worth taking at this pick. So I say go with the best player available, and that is no question Orville Reese. Although Sonny Styles and Jeremiah Love both very tempting, but they brought back Reese. Don't need to worry about that. Ruben Bain has also been talked about as a pick right there. As we look to the Arizona Cardinals, could see them going a Vega Yon, trading down, going Vega Yon. I do think for this, though, I'm still going to go with Francis Mauigoa. I don't know. This is definitely an interesting pick. People have talked about Jeremiah Love. I think they're pretty high on Trey Benson as a starter. He talks about getting a receiver, and I can see Monroe Freeling here, but my number 1 tackle of the class, spoiler alert for my tackle rankings, is still going to be Francis Mauigoa. And that's who the Cardinals should go right there. Hey, you might not have a quarterback. We'll see how free agency goes. We'll obviously do a post-free agency mock as well. We'll see how that ends up going, but for now, you get Francis Mauigoa to solidify that offensive line for whoever is going to be your quarterback. No more Kyler Murray. He ends up maybe going to Minnesota, maybe goes to New York or the Steelers. So go ahead, shore up that offensive line that was not very good last season, and begin this new era with Mike LaFleur. As we get to the Tennessee Titans, and man, I've still been liking, I like a ton of picks for them here. I don't think they really have to worry about linebacker, but Sonny Styles is obviously an option. Jeremiah Love is an option. They could go him if they don't want to stick to Tony Pollard and Tyjae Spears. I don't think that's their most pressing need, but if they want to bolster up the offense, I could see them going that way. I've heard talks about David Bailey. I've heard talks about Caleb Downs previously. My guy that I'm going here is still going to be Carnell Tate. Wide receiver 1 of the class if you watch the wide receiver rankings video, and that is for a reason. Throw him on this Titans offense. I don't know how much longer Calvin Ridley plays, but him paired up with Chimere Dike and paired up with, what's the other receiver's name? Well, they have Chigakonkwo, they have Calvin Ridley, they have Chimere Dike, and then they also have somebody else who I'm totally forgetting their name now. But, Carnell Tate instantly makes that entire offense better and gives your QB1 a wide receiver 1 to throw the ball to that, actually has hands, has great elusiveness. Fucking love Carnell Tate, man. He is awesome, and I think he would fit really nicely on this Titans team that seems to be wanting to rebuild. Got Robert Saleh in the building now. You got a new quarterback. You just got to put all the pieces together, Quarterbacks from one year, new coaches from another year. What's Robert Saleh want to bring into this room? Is he gonna go after defensive players, or is he gonna bolster up that offense? I feel like you gotta bolster up the offense at this point. As we get to the Giants, probably gonna lose Wan'Dale Robinson to free agency, so Makai Lemon, not a crazy take here. And Omar Cooper been moving up the ranks a lot. I still have him as my receiver 5, but I'm definitely thinking about moving him around. Dylan Thieneman here, way too early, man. I like Thieneman, but he's got to go back into the first. An awesome safety prospect, though, definitely, for whichever team gets him. I do think Monroe Freeling is obviously an option here. Spencer Fano an option. I do think they got to go offensive line, right? Vega Yoon, a little bit too early for him. A little bit too early for any of the corners either. Although I could see a Mansour Delane going here. Because it just seems like Deontay Banks isn't working out too well for them. But I don't know. Who's the best fit here, man? I think I'm going to go Spencer Fano. I don't know what other people are doing entirely, but this is just kind of how mine is going. This is what I think teams should do. If I went by how I think teams actually will play it out, I think we might even see Ruben Bain to the Cardinals or something like that. Or him going to the Jets. Something crazy like that. Nothing is solidified now. It's really going to take free agency for us to see all this. But like already you see Vegas is here now, and Kansas City traded with LA. So some of the picks are moving around. Things are going to change in our rankings too. Right here, could see them going Freeling. I do think it's still a little bit too early for him, but I am higher on him. Makai Lemon here, Jordan Tyson here. And I don't know, because if you don't get him here, who ends up getting Makai Lemon? Like, he falls for a bit. The Raiders down there. Like I think because of that combine and some of the interviews and stuff, he went down. I don't think that really makes sense. Makai Lemon is a top 2 receiver in this class, and he's very close to Cornell Tate. Take him right there. Solidify yourself. That's a franchise receiver 1 for whoever you want, throwing him the ball. If it's Deshaun Watson out there. Apparently he's still practicing. I did not realize. Or if it's Shedeur Sanders. At least give him a wide receiver 1 so that you give him a chance. And Makai Lemon is that wide receiver 1. He's a top 10 player in this class. There's no doubt in my mind. So that's what I have to say. Kenya Sadiq, a big question of whether he goes here to Washington. I actually really do like him going here. But I think, look, Ruben Bain's still on the board. They have a massive need at DB. Could see Thieneman going here. Could see a David Bailey going here. But Sonny Styles still just sitting here. Take a player that had a awesome combine. He is one of the players that boosted his rankings up a ton with the combine. Take him right there. And no more Jamin Davis on the squad. He sucked anyway. So, the linebacker core is nothing good. They lost Cole Holcomb a couple years ago. They haven't really been the same linebacker core that they once were. They've had Bobby Wagner, but, he's very much washed up. He can still play, but he is pretty washed. So, Sonny Styles gives some youth to that defensive unit. And I think that's not crazy. I think they'll go after receiver in free agency, too. So, I don't really think that's something crazy that they're going to target. Because no more Debo, obviously. You got to think about that. As we get to the New Orleans Saints, I don't think any of these receivers here would be good. If a Makai Lemon fell or a Tate fell, I could see them going with that. Defensive interior, could see them going some guys here. I'm not going to stick with the typical pick, though. I could see a Jeremiah Love going here. People have even mocked Caleb Downs going here. It's kind of an interesting pick for the Saints. If I was able to trade, I don't have BFF Plus, but if I was able to trade, I would probably trade down. I'm talking about trading with the Raiders. Let's see. I haven't really thought too much about this pick. Could end up going with Vega Yoon. 3 straight years of first round linemen. I don't know how Saints fans will feel about that. I have mocked Ruben Bain to them previously. I just don't think that's an amazing fit. I just don't think Ruben Bain should continue to fall anymore, man. He's such a great player. None of those receivers, to me, are really kind of worth it there. It's a tough pick. Tough pick for the Saints. I think I'm still going to end up taking Peter Woods. They love these interior linemen from Clemson. They're usually pretty high on them. If you look at Peter Woods' tape from before that final year at Clemson, man, he did look like an absolute rock. And I know you're taking him over some other players. Caden McDonald's kind of an is going for upside there if you're taking him. Pete Woods is already kind of fleshed out as a player. You know, played 4 years at Clemson, I believe, 3-4 years. So Caleb Banks is nice too, but I just think Woods fits that system better, and I can't really think of a better player. You could go Jeremiah Love. You're still trying to see what you got with Kendre Miller and Kamara. Like, I see that. You could go receiver. I just don't think any of these guys fit. Peter Woods fits that defensive scheme and what they're going for, so that's going to be my pick there. Kansas City Chiefs. I'm sure fans would be pretty upset if I didn't go Jeremiah Love here. I do think after all is said and done with free agency, they will go out and get a running back. So I'm not actually going to go with a running back there. You could see me going for one of these guys. Ruben Bain obviously still here. Could see them going with a tackle. Interesting. I'm trying to find what I feel like fits the best. I've gone David Bailey a whole lot in previous mocks. They don't... Oh, you know what? They did just trade away Trent McDuffie. They are going to need a new corner. And I have heard a lot of connections with Jermon McCoy. Patrick Mahomes actually personally knows Jermon McCoy since he was younger. And he's one of the best, if not the best corners in this draft. Right there with Mansour Delane. I know people would be like, why did you not pick Mansour Delane? They're pretty close in skill level, I'm going to be honest. It's nothing crazy. Pick him right there. This gives the Cincinnati Bengals a lot of room to work with. There's still a bunch of players in here who have kind of fallen down the board. Obviously, you're like, oh, why is Jeremiah Love still there? You know, why don't the Chiefs go Jeremiah Love? I feel like they're going to get a running back in free agency, and he's going to end up falling in this draft. Could go with interior line. But I think for the Cincy Bengals, you go Caleb Downs right there. Go ahead and get him. He adds to that defense. Kind of making this a bit of a fun mock draft. Kind of a little bit out of the norm. Could go Mansour Delane here. My surprise pick recently has actually been Ty Simpson. Believe it or not. Ty Simpson, after watching his film, I'm a lot more high on him. He is definitely worth that first round pick. Maybe not a top 15 pick, but it's just kind of circumstantial for the Dolphins. And get him in a quarterback battle with Quinn Ewers so that, you know, you have something to kind of look forward to next season instead of just being like, all right, you know, Ewers is the starter. Just Zach Wilson and him have to battle it out in camp. That's kind of boring. Make it like a three-way quarterback battle. So no more Tua. Might as well try and get somebody in that room. And I do kind of like Simpson to the Dolphins. It's a little bit random, but, you know. A couple players on the board now. I know there's been talks about Ruben Bain falling. I could see Dallas going with him here, but I'm going to go with David Bailey. He fits that Dallas scheme way better. And at this point, whatever team gets him, you know, he's fallen down the board so much that I don't think this will actually happen in the draft. You know, I think he either goes early on or he's going in one of these with these mid pieces, you know, maybe to Washington or something. But in this, I'm just going to have him falling a bit more. For the LA Rams, they only have one pick now. Could see them going Monroe Freeling. I just don't think he's the craziest fit. I'm going to pick Mansour Delane going there instead. Raiders get their QB of the future, and there's still a ton of options for them right here later. Could you get Omar Cooper Jr. here and pair him back up with Mendoza? I think that is a pretty good double dip if you go for that. There's also plenty of other options as well. You know, if you want to go defensive interior, plenty of things they could go with. But I do think that is actually a good idea. No wide receivers really for him to throw to. Go ahead and get him his old wide receiver one, technically. Get him in there and, you know, see what he can do. Right here is where I'm going to end up stopping. Or let's look around first and see. Because Vega Yon is a good pick. But I do think I'm going to stop that slide of Ruben Bain at pick 15. Buccaneers are glad they've grabbed up a top 5 player in this class as he's fallen. Just some concerns with him. I know there was some character stuff and some final season. You're getting the same stuff out of him that came out about like Gregory Rousseau and stuff. Not as much with the character concerns, but more about the fall off in play. I still think he's a great player. I think he's a top 5 player in this class, but like top 3 player even. But I do say that if he doesn't go with one of these original picks, maybe a top 4 pick or anything to those teams, he will slide down the draft board. That is no question about that. Jets, who do you go with here? No quarterbacks worth taking. Maybe a Jordan Tyson, maybe a Boston. Defensive interior, I don't really see them picking any of these players. They don't fit their scheme. Linebacker, you could see maybe a Rodriguez or a CJ Allen going here, and corner is a little bit cooked at this point outside of Avion Terrell. So, who the New York Jets end up going with? And for this, I'm actually going to pick Jordan Tyson, who I think is a decent fit to them. Ends up pairing up with Garrett Wilson. That is an awesome 1-2 punch, and when you do decide to go and draft a quarterback next year, they now have a bolstered up defense with Arvell Reese up here, awesome linebacker / edge. You get a top caliber wide receiver 2 that can be a wide receiver 1 with their pick from Indianapolis, and that is Jordan Tyson. As we get to the Detroit Lions pick, I think this is going to be a cornerback spot, and I want to say through the combine and such, they are pretty high on Colton Hood. You could go Vega Yoon. I don't think he fits their scheme. I don't think most of these interior offensive linemen fit their scheme. Monroe Freeling here. Does that stop the slide? They do kind of need a tackle. And I am going to stop the slide of him here because I think he is a player that has moved up a lot in this class. I think Dan Campbell would like the mentality that a Freeling brings and add some youth to the offensive line. Last lineman that they drafted as early as probably Penei Sewell. So go ahead, add some youth to the offensive line as you try and get back in that division. Minnesota, very lucky to the fact that Jeremiah Love fell this low. Grab him up right there and just get Jordan Mason and Aaron Jones out of there, man. They fucking suck. It's one of the worst 1-2 combos in football for running backs. Get Jeremiah Love in there. And say you go out and sign Kyler Murray, man, I would debate that as one of the best offenses in the NFL. No doubt in my mind. On to the Carolina Panthers. Not too many options left here. The only guy I could really see fitting for them in their scheme would be like a Jeremy Bernard, Chris Bell, Casey Conception. These are all guys you can get later down the board, even a Surratt or Zachariah Branch. For now, going to end up turning our attention to possibly a linebacker. Possibly a defensive interior. Like I said, wide receiver you wouldn't really touch here. So CJ Allen has been a player that I've continued to be high on. I'm going to continue going with him to the Panthers as that makes another Georgia player in nearly back-to-back picks. I like CJ Allen. I like him a lot better than a lot of linebackers in this class. I like him slightly better than Rodriguez still. He would end up fitting pretty good into that scheme on defense for them. And just continue as they push to try and make it back to the playoffs again next season. Dallas earlier goes and gets David Bailey. People will be like, why'd you not get Ruben Bain? David Bailey fits better on that squad. Thieneman is right here. This could be a great pickup for them if they go with Thieneman. Keldrick Falk is here, but they did go edge already. Running back, I don't really think it's a need. And actually, Dylan Thieneman, I feel like this is a pretty good pick here. Not the best fit in the world, but still adds to their defense that really needs some help in the secondary with the safeties, I would say. So there you go. Steelers, could totally see them going fucking Drew Aller or some bullshit here. But no, if they're deciding to make a smart pick, if Monroe Freeling is still here, no doubt in my mind they got to go with them. And Blake Miller had a really nice combine too, so he's kind of shot up. But I don't think I'll end up picking either of those guys. Denzel Boston here, could see him being an awesome fit to them, and I might just lean that direction. Avion Terrell, Colton Hood are fine, but they don't really fit. I am actually going to go with Denzel Boston. I feel like he's a first-round lock at this point, unless the board falls really badly. Go ahead and get him. That adds an almost Ted McMillan type player, Mike Williams type wide receiver 2. You still got DK as the 1, and a guy that can, work up and possibly play as a wide receiver 1 someday, but for now, just going to stay steady as that 2. And I like Boston to the Steelers there. Get a big, tall threat. So, all right, on to Los Angeles Chargers, who are definitely happy that Vega Yoon has fallen. I feel like he would be pretty high on their board. Another guy that I'm eyeing up here for the Chargers is Christian Miller. I feel like he's a great fit for their D-line. And what is the bigger... I guess the bigger thing is ending up drafting a lineman. So I'm going to go Vega Yoon here, stop the fall of him. He is maybe a top 15 player in this class as well. And Kenyon Sadiq right here to the Eagles. I think they end up going and finding a tight end in free agency because they're going to lose Dallas Goedert. But why do you need that when you could go Kenyon Sadiq, who's probably better than most of the free agents in this class? So I'll take him all day long. All right. Back-to-back good picks. A couple of Denzel Boston, Vega Yoon, Kenyon Sadiq. A couple of nice picks. Let's get this thing rolling, though. This is a 3-rounder. So Cleveland, earlier in the draft, pick up Makai Lemon. At this point, Caden Proctor is still just sitting here, and he is an awesome fit to them. So I'm going to continue to go with him. For the Chicago Bears, I have liked... couple of players at this pick, but I've mostly been going with Caleb Banks. I'm still going to continue to do that, bolster up their defensive line. Bills go ahead and they got DJ Morris, wide receiver 1 now. I don't think that is as pressing of a need as before, so go ahead and get Jacob Rodriguez. Add that in to this room, man. He is awesome. He has continued to prove during the combine that he is a top 3 maybe linebacker in this class, and that's saying a lot, as Orvell Reese is listed as a linebacker, and plenty of others are as well. Got CJ Allen, Sonny Styles. I think Jacob Rodriguez has some of the highest upside in this class outside of Styles and Orvell Reese, so that is why I pick him here. 49ers gonna end up probably grabbing some guys up in free agency. Hakeem Messidor had an awesome combine as well, has moved up the ranks. Gonna end up picking him with a first-round pick and add that to their edge room. Could go with Keldrick Falk here. I do think Messidor's a bit of a better fit. For the Texans, J.D. Price is here. He's nice, just wouldn't pick him in the first round. If anything, you got to go trade up for Love. But they do have David Montgomery now. Joe Mixon, kind of an older duo. Emmanuel Pregnon just kind of sitting here. I don't think the defensive interior's anything to boast about. Go with Pregnon. Upgrade that interior line, which they need a lot of help with. Here's Kansas City. Earlier went Jermon McCoy. Some fans might like that, some fans might not. At this point, I don't see players that are too crazy picks to make here. We'll end up going with Casey Conception. Casey to Casey. His combine has skyrocketed him where I could see him going the bookend of the first round. Don't think it's a crazy question. As we get to the Broncos, Jake Goldday, he does fit pretty well on a team like that. J.D. Price, I did have a comp of him to Javonte Williams. Do you want another Javonte Williams? Probably not. Although if he's playing the way he's playing now, then I would take him as if I was a fan of the Broncos. I'm going to go Jake Goldday instead here. Another linebacker that shot up during the combine. Could see him going in the first round. Like him a lot. As we look to the interior offensive line, not going to touch that for the Pats. But might as well go Keldrick Falk here. Just kind of a best player available scenario. They're looking for edge rusher. Grab him up. The Seattle Seahawks going to need a running back. Probably don't want to select one right here. Instead, I'm going to have them going with Brandon Siss, who I've had them going with in a lot of mocks. Another South Carolina DB ends up going to their squad. And fit him pretty well with Nick Emanwari. If they're able to coach up Nick Emanwari, I don't think there's a question that they're able to coach up Brandon Siss. And both of them fit really good into that Mike Macdonald scheme. Sorry, as I'm saying, I'm like moving myself around here. Both of them fit really well into that McDonald's scheme. So take Brandon Siss, pretty much a plug and play at DB as you get to the Jets in round 2. First round with Jordan Tyson, Orvell Reese. I would say they're almost winning the draft at this point. They have a great squad around them. Who else are you going to go with here? And originally, I have had the Ravens going this pick. They trade that pick away to the Vegas Raiders, who in the first round end up going with Omar Cooper Jr. to pair up with their boy Fernando Mendoza. So instead, I'm going to have Katie McDonald going here to the New York Jets, the start of round 2. A very talented player who is very tradesy, and just continue to add to that defense. Right here, a little bit too early for any QBs to go, but in the first round, Cardinals end up going Francis Mauigoa, the first pick. You can see them maybe going interior. Still a bit of a reach if you're going for any of these guys. Instead, at this point, I'm trying to think who would be good. Could possibly go with a guy like, honestly, I will put it out there. I do think Jonah Coleman is one of the best options to go with right there. Jadarian Price I have rated a bit lower, but Jonah Coleman fits really nicely into that scheme, and it's almost like getting another version of a Trey Benson in that offense. Just add him in there. Literally all of their running backs were on IR last year, so running back's kind of a need for them. Don't go with it in the first round. Instead, get the value pick in the second round. As we get to the Tennessee Titans, who might just be thinking about the same thing. And it's really all about who they like the most at this pick. And, man, I am really high on Emmett Johnson. Some people will be like, oh, they have so many more pressing needs than running back. Yes, but, like, look at the interior offensive line, which is what they would also be looking to go with. Look at the edge rushers. It's nothing crazy, man. The cornerbacks, what you're going with, an Avion Terrell, doesn't fit that scheme whatsoever. Emmett Johnson, if you watch my video, I believe I have him. Yeah, he's my RB3 of the class. Love his film. Add him in there, and he is going to make sparks fly. As long as the offensive line holds up, he is going to be awesome if he ends up going to a team like the Tennessee Titans. Those are two good scheme fits. I like Ken McDonald there too. Still not touching that interior offensive line. This is actually a really good spot for Blake Miller to go. I think he goes early first round, or early second round as well, so I think that's kind of perfect. So they shore up the offensive line, which they really need to do badly. And then you get to the Giants, who in the first round, we went with a tackle in Spencer Fano. And Avion Terrell just kind of sitting here intrigues me. I do think Colton Hood is a bit of a better fit. I'm actually really high on Avion Terrell too. I have him as top 5 corner in this class, maybe top 3. But Colton Hood just kind of fits better for the Giants. At this point, that is a really good fit. Jadarian Price to the Texans with Washington's old pick. And the Browns. This is definitely the point where you end up seeing like a quarterback go or something. No, you know what? Caleb Bloom is still just sitting here. And I know in the first round you end up, you got Mekhi Lemon, then you get Caden Proctor. Their offensive line fucking sucks, man. Add Caleb Bloom in there too. He's a very talented lineman. It's slid down a little bit because of the combine, but I'm still pretty high on him as a top 5, top 6 tackle in this class. And this comes up to the Chiefs, who in the first round with Casey Conception and also Jermon McCoy. They have a decent amount of picks. Don't want to go wide receiver again. Could see them going running back at this point. And Mike Washington still just sitting here, not the best. Unless you want another Pacheco. Interior offensive line. No, I just don't think any of those players are worth that pick. Christian Miller still sitting here. Lee Hunter, I think, is more of a bit of a better fit for them. Not a crazy player by any means, but he's fine enough for them. As the Bengals get Christian Miller, back-to-back defensive interior linemen go. Bengals continue to upgrade that defense. Kansas City continues to add to theirs. At this point, any wide receiver is really good here. But Chris Bell, a bit of an undersized receiver out of Louisville. I have him kind of ranked down a little bit. I would go Brazil or Jeremy Bernard here. I just think Bell is a bit of a better fit to the Saints. So the Saints end up getting Pete Woods. They end up getting Chris Bell. People are going to say that is kind of a loss for them, and I could say I agree somewhat, but right here, Miami Dolphins, go ahead and get Zachariah Branch. Just go ahead and pair that speed combo You get Jalen Waddle, you get Zachariah Branch, you got A-Chain. Speed is continuing to be what the Dolphins like to go for, so I'm just going to throw Zachariah Branch in there, and I think that's nothing crazy. At this point, could definitely see the Jets thinking about a quarterback. I think they're going to get one in free agency, but could still think about them going with one right there. There's still some great players on the boards. Why not go Avion Terrell? Continue to add to the defense. And if the Jets did have this as their draft, it would be an all-timer. Get a amazing linebacker slash edge, a wide receiver, dominant wide receiver too, developmental defensive interior lineman, and a solid CB who could possibly be your CB1 one day. That would be a great class for them. Right here to the Ravens, could see a couple of things. I'm going to throw TJ Parker to them, back-to-back Clemson players there. Parker's fallen off a lot, but he was originally a guy that was in those like way too early mock drafts. I still like TJ Parker. I just think that last season at Clemson is kind of an outlier in his career. Right here to the Bucks, I am going to go Eli Stowers. I'm still pretty high on Eli Stowers. He was like a top 5 way too early tight end last year. To me, still a decently talented guy who plays for just like a shitty school overall, so I'd like to see how he would play on the Buccaneers. And I want to say their contract is coming to an end with their tight end now, so got to be thinking about that. As we get to the Colts, I believe this is their first pick of the class. Safety, if you want to, you could go Emmanuel McNeil-Warren. I'm not too high on him. Some people are. If you want to, you could go with a quarterback here. I don't really think that's worth it after trying to bring back Daniel Jones, but I could see it being a thing. In fact, I could see this being where the quarterbacks begin to fall. But who would they go? I guess Nussmeier does kind of fit, so I'm going to throw him there as another quarterback off the board after Ty Simpson. If I was going by my best quarterback, I would go Carson Beck. I just don't think he fits incredibly well there. So we get to the Falcons, who also probably have to end up having some type of battle at quarterback. We can think about that later. For now, wide receiver is a big need for them. Corner is a big need for them. I'm actually going to go with Jeremy Bernard here. I feel like that's a pretty good fit. Have him in a wide receiver 2 battle against Darnell Mooney. Yeah, why not? And I'm going to stop the slide of McNeil-Warren. I'm just going to have him go to the Vikings there, add to that safety unit. Then Giddings Dunker is here. Who they end up going with earlier? They went with a corner, right? Monroe Freeling. No, they went with Monroe Freeling. That's the only pick they've had as a tackle. Cassius Howe. Why not? We'll go him there. Stop the slide of him. He's a pretty talented player still, so. And then for the Carolina Panthers, a couple of options you can see them going, but I like Elijah Surratt right there. That's a pretty good pick. You just do these picks left and right, man. Like I see the fits, and I'm like, oh, it's kind of perfect for this team. I'd be surprised if they didn't end up going this player. D'Angelo Pond's a bit too early, but I am a big Keith Abney the second fan out of ASU. If you go and watch his film, he's fucking awesome. Very underrated player in this class, and if Green Bay gets him, that's a great fit and great value right there as well. The Steelers are probably going to say, oh, Garrett Nussmeier went. We want to get our quarterback. Drew Aller is literally like an amazing fit to the Steelers if they're going for a mid-round quarterback. I think the second round is a bit too early for him, but, you know, quarterbacks will go early in this class, no question about it. As the Eagles should end up going with an edge rusher here, or Mason Thomas, very talented player. Struggled at the combine a little bit. He was going to go back into the first, early second in previous mocks that I've had, but instead he kind of goes middle of the second round. Dante Corleone's still a very talented player. I'm not going to go with him there, though. D'Angelo Pons. This is a tough pick, because they went with interior offensive line before, but you could still see them adding to that. I just don't really like the options here. Nah. I am going to actually go Dante Corleone here. I like him. A player that's fallen off a lot of people's boards, but I still have him as like a top 7 defensive lineman in this class. As we get to the Jaguars, who probably would have wanted McNeil Warren to fall to them. We'll have to deal with whoever's there. Zakee Wheatley, actually very talented. I would not pick him till third, though. Third or the fourth round. And who else could we end up going here? Looking for several things. Center guard. I'm going to throw Connor Lew to them. Not the best fit in the world, not the best pick in the world, but they're just going to have to take BPA there. I could see them easily trading out of that pick if the board falls that way. So we get to the Chicago Bears. Deontay Lawson sitting there, a high upside linebacker. You're going to have to let him develop a little bit, but with the loss of Tremaine Edmonds, they are going to need more wide receivers in that room. I believe Niners, with their pick, we went wide receiver. We went edge and Akeem Messidor. Not too many of these guys fit that well, but I could end up seeing them going with a pick like Malachi Fields. Just kind of a, if you guys don't know about Malachi Fields, he was not in my top 10 wide receiver rankings, but he is still an absolute freak. I definitely throw him in my top 20. A very, very high upside player. I'm talking A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf level of upside with a very, very low floor as well. So taking a chance on him, you got to be able to develop wide receivers properly, and I just don't know if the San Francisco 49ers could pull it off. But hey, might as well take a chance on a guy with a whole lot of traits to be a good running back or a good wide receiver. As we get to the Houston Texans, at this point, why not go Chase Bisontis? And then we get back to the Bears, who went to Deontay Lawson, went defensive interior in the first round. We don't really see them taking that again. AJ Halsey sitting here, not a bad pick to make, honestly. They end up going with him, the DB out of Clemson. Right here, the LA Rams. A couple of guys that I could see fitting decently onto the squad. I do know that there was talks about them trading for a backup quarterback, like a Anthony Richardson or something. Right here, I'm actually going to go Carson Beck, another one of those guys. It's Georgia quarterbacks. You're basically getting another Stetson Bennett. And I feel like he could learn pretty well behind Matthew Stafford. Maybe not a quarterback in the future, but somebody that could develop into something, at least. As we get to the Broncos, struggled somewhat with their running backs last year. Could see them going for that. Anthony Hill's still just sitting here. Why not go with him? I know it's a double dip at linebacker. You could end up losing some linebackers in free agency. You know, you could just add to that defense. Might as well. Both these guys more off-ball. So why not throw Hill and Jake Golday into that defense? Just see what you get. Patriots in the first round. Went with Keldrick Falk. The edge rusher. I think they're really going to be looking for offensive line. I think this is a great Jennings-Dunker pick right there. And previously, Seahawks did not want to end up going with running back that early. Went with Brandon Siss, the corner. Instead, here, why not? I don't know. They should be pretty confident with Zach Charbonnet leading the way for that offense. Why not Josiah Trotter here at Mizzou? Down here, get to the AZ Cardinals. And screw it, I'm going to throw Taylon Green their way. Go ahead and get a easily moldable quarterback out of Arkansas. Obviously better options here in Kate Klubnik and maybe even Cole Payton. But why not get a quarterback that's a very traitsy guy? You could possibly have your very own homegrown Anthony Richardson for that squad. And then the Titans went with some of these things previously. D'Angelo Pond's still just sitting here. That is a pretty good fit. Raiders like to do shit like this. I could see them going with a quarterback. It would be pretty stupid if they did. Just like some backup quarterback to have. They pretty much need everything. I'm going to throw Keyshawn Elliott their way. For the Eagles, see them double dipping at tight end, depending on how free agency goes, but I'm not going to do that for this. I'm going to go Zion Young here, not a bad fit. Decent edge rusher. And then we get to the Houston Texans. They really do need an interior Man. Still like Jake Slaughter a lot, and I like him fitting on the Texans as well. At this point, it's where the Cleveland Browns are going to be like, fuck it, let's go with the quarterback Jalen Daniels. Throw him in to that offense. Why not let him have a quarterback battle? See how he does as we get to the Commanders. Mari Ramsey there, Chris Johnson. Chandler Rivers I still like a lot, so I'm going to go with him. Kind of a bit of a take a chance on him pick, a bit of a developmental guy. But why not try him on for size? Dominique Orange still here. Darrell Jackson. Let's throw him into the mix. As we get to the Saints, they went with Chris Bell previously. Let's not go with another receiver. Instead, let's go with Keelan Rutledge. Not a crazy, amazing fit, but still. Just kind of going with some of these players that have fallen down the board. Kansas City's went with some other players previously. I'm going to go Max Ihanicore. Definitely see the Dolphins being like, oh, let's double quarterback. Went previously with Zachariah Branch. Could still look to add to the wide receiver room. I'm not going to. I'm going to psych you guys out. I think I will actually go with the cornerback here. Chris Johnson, the best available. Not a crazy fit by any means, but still, take him. Steelers, Cole Payton. Why not? They like doing dumb shit with quarterbacks, so why not? Drew Aller and Cole Payton. Let's see it. With Mike McCarthy as your head coach, I just don't know how that draft is going to go. As we get farther and further down, it's hard to predict. Just mostly doing it for fun. Derek Moore there. I still think Derek Moore has all the upside in the world. Went with Nelson Meyer previously. Let's go with somebody else. Let's go with Torian York. Right here, fuck it, Cade Klubnik to the Falcons. They have a quarterback battle with Michael Penix. Right here, it's a good Skylar Bell spot. They like their UConn players. And as we get to the Jaguars, go with another interior lineman because that is what they need pretty badly. Kamari Ramsey, Minnesota loves their USC guys. They have a big issue at DB. So add him in there. Why not throw another wide receiver to the Carolina Panthers and Chris Brazell, who fits on that squad pretty well, which is why I threw him there. Literally would not draft any of those guys. No. Oh, this is hard to do. Dominique Orange still just sitting here. Might as well take him. Steelers do not pick another fucking quarterback. DeJon Stribling. Some fine options. So if I was them, I would probably try and look away from that direction. You know what? Deion Burks and Antonio Williams still just sitting here. Let's go with Deion Burks. Throw him the Steelers' way. Antonio Williams, add him into the Chargers offense, see how he ends up playing. Bryce Lance, an interesting player too. Probably not going to go with him for this mock. We did already go with the corner, but let's go with another one, because why the fuck not? Zakee Wheatley right there. Still a very talented player. Like him a lot. Gabe Jacquez. Stop him from falling anymore. Already went with several other players. For the Dolphins, let's go Max Clare. All they have is Jonnu Smith at tight end. Get somebody else in that room. Let's add Mike Washington into Buffalo, a very traitsy running back out of Arkansas. Add another edge rusher, Malachi Lawrence. Went and got a QB. Traden Stukes is still here, though. I'll take him. And linebacker Kyle Lewis sitting there. Caleb Tiernan sitting there as well. And what about for you guys? Running back Could see Seth McGowan going there, definitely, most definitely. Jalen Farmer. Bo Stevens is decent. I just wouldn't pick him that early. Davis had a bonus on. Went to Key Wheatley previously. Just gonna go with best player available. Deny Dennis Sutton. You gotta go with him there, at least in the first 3 rounds. And LT Overton. Fuck, man, he slid down the board a lot, but gotta get him in the first 3 rounds. Gotta. He's a former round 1 pick for me, man. He's fallen off the cliff. But yeah, kind of got a little bit dicey there at the end, but I am pretty happy with how, especially the first round went for this mock draft. I don't even know how long we've been recording, but this has been one of the more fun mock drafts we've done in a minute. With the Combine, we've seen a lot of players move off the board, like Monroe Freeling and Rodriguez. Jake Golday's moved up the board. It's been quite interesting to see. So this shows our whole first round. And this is probably one of my favorite first rounds that I've done, especially with the Raiders getting this pick now, pairing up Omar Cooper and Fernando Mendoza. Ruben Bain can definitely go a bit earlier, but he's a great fit to the Bucs. McCoy connected a lot with the Chiefs. Sonny Styles to the Commanders. Like, genuinely one of my favorite first rounds I've done in a minute. Some of these late guys down the board, we'll have to see where they go. Sadiq could go a lot earlier. Denzel Boston could fall out of the first round. Dylan Thieneman, not the best fit to the Cowboys, but I'm still pretty happy with how it came out overall. Not bad. Keldrick Falk to the Pats is a pretty good fit, so is Sis. And then Caden Proctor, man, that's like my dream fit if you're a Cleveland Browns fan. Carnell Tate. But yeah, that is going to be the end of this one. I hope you guys all enjoyed yet another Mock Draft Monday, and I'll see you guys all maybe next Monday, maybe the Monday after, for a post-free agency mock draft. Hope you guys are all excited for that. And until then, peace. See ya.